Hello dear friends, and welcome to a brand new show on my channel, which I am calling Pillow Pasta. Now, I've been subscribed to a couple of popular creepypasta readers for quite a while now, and I've always wanted to give it a try myself. Of course, sprinkling in just a little bit of my classic taste of arsehole-less snarkiness. And what better way to begin this series than by talking about one of the most popular creepypasta characters, and by popular, I mean one of the ones who've had the most homoerotic art drawn of them. The story of Jeff the Killer.
Excerpt from local newspaper. Ominous unknown killer is still at large. After weeks of unexplained murders, the ominous unknown killer is still on the rise. After little evidence has been found, a young boy states that he survived one of the killer's attacks and bravely tells his story.
I had a bad dream, and I woke up in the middle of the night. I saw that for some reason the window was open, even though I remember it being closed before I went to bed. I got up and shut it once more. Afterwards, I simply crawled under my covers and tried to get back to sleep. That's when I had a strange feeling, like someone was watching me. I looked up and nearly jumped out of my bed. There, in the little ray of light illuminating between my curtains, were a pair of two eyes. These weren't regular eyes. They were dark, ominous eyes. They were bordered in black and just plain out terrified me. That's when I saw his mouth. A long, horrendous smile that made every hair on my body stand up. The figure stood there, watching me. Finally, after what seemed like forever, he said it. A simple phrase, but said in the way only a madman could speak.
Annabelle was better than The Conjuring! That hurt even to say as a joke. Go to sleep.
I let out a scream. That's what sent him at me. He pulled up a knife, aiming it at my heart. He jumped on top of my bed. I fought him back. I kicked, I punched, I rolled around, trying to knock him off me. That's when my dad busted in. He threw the knife, and it went into my dad's shoulder. The man probably would have finished him off, if not for one of the neighbors who had alerted the police. They drove into the parking lot and ran towards the door. The man turned and ran down the hallway. I heard a smash, like glass breaking. As I came out of my room, I saw the window that was pointing towards the back of my house was broken. I looked at it to see him vanish into the distance. I can tell you one thing. I'll never forget that face. Those cold, evil eyes. And that psychotic smile. They will never leave my head. Jeff and his family had just moved into a new neighborhood.
Call the police! I found him! He's hiding here in this flashback!
His dad had gotten a promotion at work, and they thought it'd be best to live in one of those fancy neighborhoods. Jeff and his brother Lou couldn't complain though. A new, better house. What was there not to love? As they were getting unpacked, one of their neighbors came by. "Hello," she said. "I'm Barbara. I live across the street from you." She turns around and calls over her son. "Billy, these are our new neighbors." Billy said hi and ran back to play in his yard. "Well," Jeff's mum said, "I'm Margaret, and this is my husband Peter, and my two sons Jeff and Lou." They each introduced themselves, and then Barbara invited them to her son's birthday. Jeff and his brother were about to object, when their mum said that they would love to. When Jeff and his family were done unpacking, Jeff went up to his mum. "Mum, why would you invite us to some kid's party? If you haven't noticed, I'm not some dumb kid." "Jeff, we just moved here. We should show that we want to spend some time with our neighbors. Now we're going to that party, and that's final." Jeff started to talk, but stopped himself, knowing that he couldn't do anything. Whenever his mum said that's final, it was final. He walked up to his room and plopped down on his bed. He sat there looking at the ceiling when suddenly he got a weird feeling. Not so much a pain, but a weird feeling.
That's called puberty, Jeff, and it's nothing to be ashamed of.
He dismissed it as just some random feeling. He heard his mother call him down to get his stuff, and he walked down to get it. The next day, Jeff walked downstairs to get breakfast and get ready to go to school. As he sat there, eating breakfast, he once again got that feeling. This time, it was stronger. It gave him a slight tugging pain. But once again, he dismissed it. As he and Lou finished breakfast, they walked down to the bus stop. They sat there, waiting for the bus, and then, all of a sudden, some kid on a skateboard jumped over them just inches above their laps. They both jumped back in surprise. "Hey, what the hell?" The kid landed and turned back to them. He kicked his skateboard up and caught it with his hands. The kid seems to be about 12, 1 year younger than Jeff. He wears an Aeropostale shirt and ripped blue jeans. "Well, well, well. It looks like we got some new meat." Suddenly 2 other kids appeared. One was super skinny and the other was huge. "Well, since you're new here, I'd like to introduce ourselves. Over there is Keith." Jeff and Lou looked at the skinny kid. He had a dopey face that you expect to see on a sidekick. "And he's Troy." Talk about a tub of lard. This kid looked like he hadn't exercised since he was crawling. "And I," said the first kid, "am Randy."
Oh yeah!
No, not that, Randy.
Now for all kids in this neighborhood, there's a small price of bus fare, if you catch my drift. Lou stood up, ready to punch the light out of this kid's eyes, when one of his friends pulled a knife on him. "Tisk, tisk, tisk. I had hoped you would be more cooperative, but it seems we must do things the hard way."
Who is this guy, Abe Fedora? Why is he speaking like he's from the 1950s?
The kid walked up to Lou and took his wallet right out of his pocket. Jeff got that feeling again. Now it was truly strong. A burning sensation. He stood up, but Lou gestured for him to sit back down. Jeff ignored him and walked up to the kid. "Hey, listen here, you little punk. Give back my bro's wallet or else." Randy put the wallet in his pocket and pulled out his own knife. "Oh? And what will you do?" Just as he finished his sentence, Jeff popped the kid on the nose. As Randy reached for his face, Jeff grabbed the kid's wrist and broke it. Randy screamed, and Jeff grabbed the knife from his hand. Troy and Keith rushed Jeff, but Jeff was too quick. He threw Randy to the ground. Keith lashed out at him, but Jeff ducked and stabbed him in the arm. Keith dropped his own knife and fell to the ground screaming. Troy rushed him too, but Jeff didn't even need the knife. He just punched Troy straight in the stomach, and he goes down. As he fell, he puked all over. Lou could do nothing but look in amazement at Jeff.
Amazement is right. I mean, taking on 3 armed kids at the same time, breaking bones of ease. Wait a minute. Hulk!
You called, brother?
Have you been training creepypasta villains how to fight behind my back?
Well, what can I say, Fedora? I just thought he was a really eccentric Sting fan.
Jeff, how did you... That was all Lou said. They saw the bus coming and knew they'd be blamed for the whole thing, so they started running as fast as they could. As they ran, they looked back and saw the bus driver rushing over to Randy and the others. As Jeff and Lou made it to school, they didn't dare tell what happened. All they did was sit and listen. Lou just thought of that as his brother beating up a few kids, but Jeff knew it was more. It was something scary. As he got that feeling, he felt how powerful it was. The urge to just hurt someone. He didn't like how it sounded, but he couldn't help feeling happy. He felt that strange feeling go away and stay away for the entire day at school. Even as he walked home, due to that whole thing near the bus stop and how he probably wouldn't be taking the bus anymore, he felt happy. When he got home, his parents asked him how his day was, and he said, in a somewhat ominous voice, "It was a wonderful day." The next morning, he heard a knock at his front door. He walked down to find 2 police officers at his door, his mother looking back at him with an angry look. "Jeff, these officers tell me you attacked 3 kids, and they were stabbed. Stabbed, son!" Jeff's gaze fell to the floor, showing his mother that it was true. "Mum, they were the ones who pulled the knives on me and Lou." "Son," said one of the cops, "we found 3 kids, 2 stabbed, 1 having a bruise on his stomach, and we have witnesses proving that you fled the scene. Now what does that tell us?" Jeff knew it was no use. He could say him and Lou had been attacked, but there was no proof who attacked first. They couldn't say that they weren't fleeing because, truth be told, they were. So Jeff couldn't defend himself or Lou. "Son, call down your brother." Jeff couldn't do it, since it was him who beat up all the kids. "Sir, it was me. I was the one who beat up the kids. Lou tried to hold me back, but he couldn't stop me." The cop looked at his partner, and they both nodded. "Well, kid, looks like a year in juvie."
To hell with due process!
"Wait!" says Lou. They all looked up to see him holding a knife. The officers pulled their guns and locked them onto Lou. "It was me. I beat up those little punks. I have the marks to prove it." He lifted up his sleeves to reveal cuts and bruises, as if he was in a struggle. "Son, just put the knife down," said the officer. Lou held up the knife and dropped it to the ground. He put his hands up and walked over to the cops. "No, Lou, it was me! I did it!" Jeff had tears running down his face. "Poor bro. Trying to take the blame for what I did? Well, take me away." The police led Lou out to the patrol car. "Lou, tell them it was me! Tell them! I'm the one who beat up those kids!" Jeff's mother put her hands on his shoulders. "Jeff, please, you don't have to lie. We know it's Lou. You can stop." Jeff watched helplessly as the cop car speeds off with Lou inside. A few minutes later, Jeff's dad pulled into the driveway. Seeing Jeff's face and knowing something was wrong.
The mother was just annoyed that she missed the first half of Casualty because of this.
Son, what is it?" Jeff couldn't answer. His vocal cords were strained from crying. Instead, Jeff's mother walked his father inside to break the bad news to him, as Jeff just wept in the driveway. After an hour or so, Jeff walked back into the house, seeing that his parents were both shocked, sad, and disappointed.
We're not mad, we're just disappointed that our son was sent to prison for lethal assault.